It's sometime between 8 o'clock and 9 o'clock at night. You look up, look into the night sky, see the stars all around you, listen to the waves softly hitting the boat. You step up to the edge of the boat and look down. It's your turn to jump in. So in you go. You come back up and signal to your buddy, I'm okay. I'm ready to descend. So you and your buddy slowly descend into the dark ocean, step by step, really foot by foot, slowly, little bit by little bit, until you reach your agreed upon depth of 50 feet. It's at this point that you can turn on your flashlights or your torches and start exploring the dark underwater world, peeking into crevices, peering into holes, looking at all of the wonders that lie beneath the surface. Take about 30 to 45 minutes to explore before you signal to your dive buddy, it's time to go to our safety stop. At that point, you go to 15 feet below the surface and hover, weightlessly, staring at each other. And all of a sudden, you both start waving your hands frantically in the air, moving them all around, and something magical happens. Lights start popping up. Blue dots like glitter everywhere. The plankton are bioluminescing. You've created your own personal snow globe. So you take a moment to take it in. Take in this magic experience that most don't get to see before you finally go back to the surface and end your dive. This was dive number 8 for me. It was also my first night dive. It was terrifying, but it was also one of the most magical and easily one of the most memorable dives I've ever been on. Since then, I've logged 80 to 90 additional dives in my dive book. I've also become a PADI certified rescue scuba diver. That means I'm trained to save your life up to 130 feet below the surface, and on dry land too, for that matter. Not like these guys, and not like this guy either, but somewhere in between. I've been fortunate to dive all over the world, including the warm Caribbean waters of Jamaica, St. Lucia, Barbados, and the Bahamas. I've been to the cenotes in Mexico. I've gone through lava tubes in Hawaii. I've even been to ancient shipwrecks in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. I've seen a lot of things. Some of them are big, some of them are small. Almost all of them are absolutely breathtaking. Yep, that's the elusive plastic dingle hopper. Only few people get to see that in this world. As George said, diving has become life-changing for me. I've been able to experience worlds that most never get to see or experience. And I've learned lessons that are applicable not just underwater, but on dry land. So I'd like to take a few moments to share with you some of the life lessons that I've learned from being 130 feet below the surface. Lesson number 1, don't be afraid to go below the surface. The water surface can look very different on a sunny day than it does on a cloudy one. It can be different in the wintertime than it is in the summertime. But what lies beneath is a world that most don't get to see, a world that even fewer people actually understand. When the waves are rough and rocky on the surface, you can go below and see a world that's calm and soothing. When the skies are gray, dismal, and boring outside, when you peer beneath the surface, you may see a world that's colorful, exciting, and fun. So much of our roles as AEC marketers is growing, expanding a business, peering up high, seeking the highest mountain, climbing to the rooftops, and expanding our businesses. But sometimes it's important that we stop and look below the surface, expose ourselves to new perspectives and new possibilities. This can be applicable when your firm is venturing into a new business or service line. Maybe you're growing into a new region. Maybe you're just entering into a new relationship. Exploring these possibilities and perspectives helps you learn a lot about yourself, about others, and about reality in general. Oftentimes, how someone appears or something appears on the surface is different from what lies beneath, hidden below the surface, beyond the superficial. So I challenge you in your endeavors. Keep looking up. Keep striving to climb those mountains. But don't be afraid while you're doing so to peek below the surface, beyond that superficial. Make real connections. Lesson number 2, always have a buddy. Having a buddy is one of those scuba rules. It's just an inherent habit that every diver knows, uses, and does. It means that you have someone close to you that you can trust, someone that is there to help you out, if your mask floods, if you run low on air, if you lose sight of the rest of the group. Your dive buddy is also there if you see something amazing that nobody else is going to believe unless you have that witness there to see it with you. This could be a stranger that you just met on the boat. It could be a lifelong friend that you've been diving with for years. But your dive buddy is there to hold you accountable, to help you out and encourage you. They help calm you down, and they think not just of themselves, but of their counterpart as well. Just like diving, going through life without a buddy is not ideal. Don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with being alone. We need to be alone, to love ourselves independent of each other. But there's something to be said for having a shoulder to lean on, an ear that listens to you, a heart that beats more soundly, knowing that yours is beating too. Someone that at the end of a day of putting proposals together and countless revamps of your firm's website and who knows how many strategic plans, you can call and discuss and cuss about everything that's happening at your firm. I want you to think for a moment about who your buddy is. Maybe it's a partner or a parent, could be a colleague or a friend. Maybe it's a stranger that you just met out in the lobby. This world has a way of throwing us curveballs. It's kind of nice to know that you've got somebody there that you can count on and might need you too when one of those curveballs hits a little bit too close to home. Just make sure you've chosen a good one. Lesson number 3, know when to drop dead weight. An object or a person's buoyancy is its ability to float. Think of it as a person's floatiness. There's 3 types of buoyancy. First is positive buoyancy. This is when the diver floats to the top, is ascending or moving in an upward manner. Opposite of that is negative buoyancy, when a diver is sinking, moving downwards, or staying at the bottom. Somewhere in between those two is neutral buoyancy, when you're neither sinking nor floating, but hovering weightlessly in between. This is the stage that divers prefer to be in during the dive. And we wear a lot of equipment to help us control our buoyancy. One of those is the BCD, buoyancy control device. That's the vest that we wear. We also wear weight belts that are easily detached and removed. And we're taught that in any situation where we're feeling overwhelmed, weighted down, we're having difficulty ascending or staying afloat, to remove that weight and drop it so that we can quickly ascend and get back to a place of positive buoyancy. Weight in life can be just as dangerous. I'm not talking about the McDonald's that you had for dinner or the lack of exercise and skipping the gym this morning. I'm talking about the weight that you carry on your shoulders. Everything that we do from our day-to-day lives, psychologically, physically, adds weight, pulling us down, weighing us down, making it difficult to feel like we're staying afloat. So it's important to learn not just how to drop that dead weight, but when to drop that dead weight. As we move through life, we get more comfortable in our own skin. We learn when and how to drop that dead weight. And we learn how to keep ourselves positively buoyant. Lesson number 4, move slowly and stay calm. One of the primary reasons that you move on a dive is to explore and observe. You do so slowly and purposefully. The more slowly and purposefully you move, the more it is that you're likely to see when you're looking into crevices. You never know what types of alien-like life forms might lie just underneath a rock. Many life forms are tiny. Some are only visible to the trained eye of a scuba diver. Now, the diver that comes to the surface and complains that they didn't see anything is probably the one that was moving through the dive too quickly. We live in a fast-paced world where needs are immediate. Instant gratification is real. And by golly, those proposals are due ASAP, and it makes it difficult to take time to slow down and pay attention to the details. But when you do stop to look closely, where there appears to be nothing, there may be something incredible. Right beneath your very eyes, you may see something that you've never seen before. So slow down. Appreciate the environment that you are in, and don't let stress and pressure be the primary motivating factors. Even in the most hurried situations, diving teaches us how to stay calm. This is instilled in us in every stage of our training. When we have a flooded mask, if we get low on air, if we lose sight of our buddy or get caught in a strong current, we learn to not panic, but to stop, think, and act. And much of this is done just in controlling our breathing. As a rescue diver, we're taught to pay attention not just to our own breathing, but to the breathing of those around us. It becomes very easy to identify a diver who is stressed, maybe has overexerted themselves, or is panicking, because their breathing becomes very quick and rapid. It sounds a lot like this guy on Speed. We know that when we recognize this guy or gal, to slow down, calm down, and check in with the breathing. It's actually scientifically proven that when you slow your breath, calm your breath, and just being aware of your breath calms your nerves. This is why yoga and meditation are such a popular form of stress relief. So when you encounter that situation where you're feeling hurried, when you're feeling stressed, I challenge you to slow down, to stop, think, and act, and check in with your breathing. Breathing is one of those things kind of like blinking. It's an uncontrolled, unconscious reflex that we just do. Most of us aren't aware that we're doing it until someone mentions it or brings it to our attention. And now that I brought it to your attention, how many of you are aware that you're breathing? Great! That actually brings me to point number 5, never stop breathing. In diving, air is your lifeline. If you use too much too soon, your dive is cut short. If you use all of your air, your life may be cut short. I'm going to go through a quick scuba science lesson for you. So when we're underwater breathing, we're breathing compressed air under pressure. That's what those cylindrical tanks are that we carry on our back. As pressure changes, so does the volume of air that we take in. So when we descend or go down, the pressure goes up. That air then gets compressed, and we're breathing a higher volume of air than we would breathe at the surface. Opposite of that is when we ascend, the pressure goes down. That means all of that compressed air starts to expand and grow. Now, when we're breathing normally, that expanding air gets expelled when we exhale. Makes sense, right? And you all know that your lungs are a fixed airspace. They're very flexible, but they are finite. So when we ascend and we're holding our breath, that air starts to grow, but becomes trapped, leaving nowhere to go but to continue expanding and growing. And much like a balloon, it can burst eventually. This causes what's called a lung overexpansion injury. Oftentimes, this can be fatal. This is Scuba 101, something that every diver knows, understands, and never tests without question. Many of us in life, however, go through holding our breath, not allowing the new and exciting to come in, but instead holding on to the old, the comfortable, the complacent, well, that's the way we've always done it. We're not designed, just like our lungs, to hold on to things. When we do, it tends to grow and expand, eventually causing ourselves to burst. So instead, as life changes, as the pressure increases and decreases, as stresses heighten and diminish, remember to breathe. Practice this with me just real quick. Inhale. Good. Exhale. Good. Take in the new and the good. Let go of the old and the bad. Doesn't that feel good? Remember that next time you're in that situation, not only are you slowing down to check in with your breath, but you're making sure that you're making room for the new. So immerse yourself in new environments. Surround yourself with new changes. Grow, change, adapt, learn. Let those pressures change all around you. But remember to breathe. As I shared, I've been fortunate to dive all over this world. I'll consider myself an explorer. And as George said, diving's really become life-changing for me. It's become my bliss place. I've learned a lot of things, not just applicable underwater, but stuff that I've been able to apply on dry land as well. Things that not only made me a better person, but have helped me in my practice and my business consultancy as well. So I give those lessons to you. Don't be afraid to go below the surface. Always have a buddy. Know when to drop dead weight, move slowly and stay calm, and most importantly, never, ever stop breathing. Thank you guys.